Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts, but I'm also the host for the evening. So I'm glad that I'm able to get a chance to talk about this franchise. It is fairly straightforward. So I'm pretty sure that these will be some very small discussions, but I do believe that they do need to be talked about and discussed, because at least this first one was the start of a phenomenon. And I do believe that this series was originally put out by the Asylum, which, yeah, they've been known to have some twofer film franchises out there, but this is the only film franchise that has gotten 6 features. There's another one, I think, that and sharks, films about sharks seem to be popular. So I believe the other franchise that kind of has a lot going for it is the two-headed shark phenomenon.
Mega Shark. They put all those freaking Mega Shark movies.
Well, those two, but I do know that the two-headed shark and the three-headed shark and the four-headed shark and the five-headed shark and the six-headed shark. Well, I believe that there are those out there too. So, but this one started a phenomenon, and there were several independent filmmakers out there that kind of did their own thing with this, but this was the first, I do believe, that spoofed basically the Twister movie, except it's a Twister movie with sharks. And it was a film that came out in 2013. It was a TV movie that got physical releases, and I do believe that all 6 of these ended up in a very out of print and hard to find steelbook. So that's another thing that it had going for it.
I got that steelbook. You can feel the shark's little teeth.
But the film, I do believe all of them are directed by the same director. And that would be Anthony C. Ferrante. And at least this initial film stars Tara Reid. And let's see who else. Let me pull up IMDb's page here. Sharknado.
Oh, I got Tara Reid and Ian Ziering. And who's the other main one?
This thing really brought Tara Reid back to the masses.
Yeah. Cassandra Scarabo, I guess you could say they're the main ones. And Jason Simmons. With a small role by John Hurd, who's basically playing Norm from Cheers.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorite parts of it. I'm in that bar stool.
Okay, so Ian Ziering, Tara
Mhm.
Reid, John Hurd, among many others,
Mhm.
and I seem to remember John Hurd from Tom Hanks and Big, the other guy who was vying for the romantic lead in that movie.
He's been in a ton of movies. It was like, actually, I was watching with my brother. He's like, "Is that guy from Home Alone?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is." Yeah,
And we just talked about where Tara Reid actually came from in American Pie,
yeah. Interesting.
because she was very young in that, uh, 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 going upwards. And Ian Ziering, well, he is alumni of the Beverly Hills 90210 crew.
Hmm.
Um, so we have some fairly familiar faces popping up in this B movie. I would say B movie because it does have a budget.
Hmm.
Um, it's not a no budget. It is definitely a low budget because they've got CGI sharks,
Yep. Very bad CGI.
but that's not to me a bad thing for this movie.
No.
To be honest, because to me, I've seen some crappier versions of CGI sharks, much worse than these. And yes, there are some crazy moments in this whole entire film series that you just kind of have to sit back, relax, and watch the pandemonium happen.
In fact, if you are so inclined, you could dig up the video we did on this channel for bad CGI sharks, among
Well,
other things.
that was actually a pretty good example of a low budget
Right.
film that was actually pretty darn good,
Yeah.
for having CGI sharks in it. But as far as mainstream films go, this is like the cream of the crop to me. Because I have seen other shark films that Asylum has put out there, and they went all out for these films. They were prepared for this franchise, I feel. And so yeah, you kind of have to suspend your belief with the storyline, and it's kind of an interesting film to start out with. So IMDb says when a freak hurricane swamps Los Angeles, nature's deadliest killer rules sea, land, and air as thousands of sharks terrorize the waterlogged populace. So, and I think another thing that I totally forgot before I watched this is that it was a hurricane by the name of David that started it all. And guess what? My name is David. So, that being said, first impressions. Let's start with you, Tammy. What was your first impressions of this movie? And was this a first time watch for you?
No, this wasn't the first time. I believe this was the second time. Um, um, I don't think I liked it that much the first time I watched it, but this time for some reason, I don't know, maybe it grew on me or something. um, it definitely a very interesting concept. Basically, just like the people in the movie. You know, whoever would have thought that there would be sharks flying around and swimming down the streets and things like that, So, right away you're like, what? There's just, sharks flying through the air and so Yeah, I guess I thought the first time I watched it, I thought the whole concept was like, you gotta be kidding me, who's gonna get into this with sharks like everywhere, other than in the ocean. So maybe that's why I didn't get into it the first time that much, but this time it was just kind of like, okay, it's different. It's definitely had some um interesting scenarios and everything. So yeah, I mean, I think this time around I actually had a little bit more fun with it. So um, I guess I'm in a way not. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the rest of them in a way. So it was fun. It's like I said, the whole concept is like totally different. But
Okay.
I yeah, it's weird seeing Ian in the role like this because I was so used to him on 90210. So
And you watched 90210 when it was on, didn't you?
yes, I did.
Alrighty.
Yes.
Heading heading over to you, Jake. Was this a first time watch for you?
No, this was the second time. I honestly am having trouble remembering the exact circumstances of the first time. I feel like this was something Brandon showed me. He might remember more definitely. I don't know. Uh Maybe we watched it with a group. I mean, that seems quite plausible with this kind of movie. Uh and I feel like I had almost the opposite reaction to what Tammy just described because I quite enjoyed this movie the first time. I remembered it being gloriously cheesy and stupid and fun, and like I remembered generally liking it. And this time around, I mean, it still mostly holds true. Um, just right now, I'm having a very hard time lately getting into stupid stuff. I'm really having a hard time with it, and for very different reasons than what I used to. And so I still enjoyed it, but I feel like I didn't enjoy it as much as I had expected or hoped to. Uh, and it's put a little bit of a damper on my enthusiasm for finally watching the sequels. But, it definitely, it's a kind of movie that if you know what you got going in and you're up for that, then you will enjoy it more likely than not. And I watched it with a couple people who surprised me with how much they enjoyed it, honestly. Um, but it's a what was I going to say? It was something I was going to say. And I will say it is a definite and vast improvement over the last handful of movies we've covered on this channel. Whatever my issues with this one, I would do this in a heartbeat over one of the Skeleton Key movies. But and it's nowhere near like as far as cheesy shark themed movies go. I've definitely seen a lot worse. This one is very entertaining. I had totally forgotten that John Hurd, like I said, he is basically playing Norm from Cheers. They even
Yeah, he
named him
is.
George. They even named him George, which has to be a nod to George Wendt. I just think that's hilarious. And it's a different role than I'm used to for John Hurd. Like, I mean, he's the father in Home Alone. He played a he's done various like authority figures over the years, or kind of, I think you guys mentioned a romantic rival or something. I feel like he's done that a couple times.
Yeah.
Seeing him play the part of a perverted barfly is, like I say, he's basically Norm, but he's a lot more perverted than Norm is. It's basically, I don't know. It amused me. And I'd forgotten how small his role is. He almost gets star billing, but it's probably because they probably had to pay him more per minute than most of them got for the movie. So there is that. Overall, it's fun, and like I said, I'm kind of looking forward. I'm glad I have an excuse to watch my copies finally. That's pretty cool. But yeah, so I was a little disappointed by my second viewing, but I'm still glad I got to revisit it. It's a fun movie.
Well, I didn't realize it was all the way back in 2013.
Yeah, it's been around
too, so it's been around for a few years. But is that pretty much
think
it
I
for
liked
you?
it.
Oh, go ahead.
I think I liked it more this time because I think I was more tolerable of cheesy movies than I was the first time I watched it, is what my thing is. I was,
Yeah.
I've been around enough of David's cheesy movies by now. So.
And this one's fairly tame compared to some of them.
Right.
And I will say this, as far as an appreciation for cheesy movies goes, because I saw this one so far back, this may very well have been one of the movies that helped me to get an appreciation for that. You know what I mean? So there is that.
Okay. Headed over to you, Brandon. Was this a first time watch for you?
Yes and no. As in, yes, because it feels like it is. No, because I know it's not. Actually, I've watched the first 4 films in the series because I love absurdist comedy. And Mark Polonia wishes he made these films. Because I like these films where it's just something strange. But I'll admit, like I said before, the Skeleton Key movies I put up not because I love the films, but because I wanted to try and give it another fair shot. Like, maybe I was just in a bad state of mind and I was planning on doing it for Schlockaholics, and then the channel died. But these definitely are the good kind of odd. For me, I like a film series where it's just strange, total, like, you've got to take yourself out of it to even believe partially what's going on.
Yeah,
absurdity.
The science is awful in this one.
And that makes it funnier because it knows it's bad. It knows it's over the top and it revels in it. And for me, usually when I am out of it, as far as mental health wise, I'll admit this is the kind of thing that tends to bring me around a little bit because it does what I call resetting my brain a bit. Because my brain has to kind of turn off in order to enjoy this. And then it kind of turns back on. I guess, like resetting a computer, And I did. I enjoyed this. I actually got to watch this with Kim. And I was surprised that she kind of enjoyed this. Whereas she did not enjoy the Skeleton Key movie that she did see. Or the Emu War, which I will not be bringing up because I have a feeling that would not go over well. But this one's fun. I do like most of the things in it, and to me, I love that it gets more and more over the top as you go. I mean, the fourth one was in freaking space and had David Hasselhoff in it, which we're going to get that far, at least in our journey, until we come back again. So I do look forward to the whole of the journey.
The Hoff made a cameo in this one. Was it our main character that was reading his book?
I don't remember, but he comes back as one of the main, as a big character in it.
Maybe
later
I'm
on.
getting mixed up with something else. I feel like it was. Maybe I got that mixed up with the show I'm watching. Oh, whatever.
Okay. Is that pretty much your first impressions of this then?
Yeah, because I don't really remember my first time watching it. For all I know, I watched it originally on Sci-Fi Channel because I heard about it. I mean, 2013, it would have definitely been on my radar. So
2013, we were still watching a whole heck of a lot of Sci-Fi Channel movies.
I mean,
And when this, I started hearing about the. Actually, they started. They started out with the trailers on Sci-Fi Channel, so they definitely promoted it enough for me for us to tune in, and then I started wanting Tammy to set up the next one as soon as it showed up. Because we had our DVR then to pre-record everything, and it was just easier to watch it later. So, but I also ended up picking them up each time they showed up, and of course the last couple, I had to wait until they showed up out there in the wild. So, but I think and feel like the first one is a pretty good foray into comedy horror. You know that it does two of the. It's a double threat at least with horror and comedy, and it's got a believable storyline. And
It does.
Well, sort of. A fishing bar gets kind of stuck inside a hurricane that brings a bunch of sharks eating their way to the inland, which is basically the gist of the movie. The rest of it, you kind of have to suspend your thoughts of belief and just kind of go with the flow.
The rest of it.
Well, yeah.
Dave, I don't think that's how sharks or hurricanes work.
It could happen. For kids.
That's right.
But we have the film beginning with what looks like a fight between a captain and a Chinaman. And I think they're fighting over money.
There's a vessel illegally harvesting shark fins, and it's a Japanese businessman who's there to get basically try to make a deal with the guy, and the guy is very shady and creepy, and needless to say, they are both scum and they get what's coming to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the hurricane of sharks that comes to the mainland, well, I think it starts out with our main character, Finn, or should I say Finley. He is out there in the water, and suddenly he realizes that there are sharks in the water, and everybody is standing around looking stupid, and it's like they don't hear him. And most of them get, at least most of the ones that were standing there looking stupid, kind of got eaten, and it's kind of like how most shark movies, like Jaws. I mean, Jaws is the one that every film since shark movies kind of look up to.
And this movie does make several direct Jaws references.
Yeah. And he saves one of his friends who gets bitten on the leg, and they get to the bar, and he seems like he's hopping along fine. We meet a few of the characters. One of them being a young girl who kind of mans the bar with Finn, and she seems to have feelings for him, and
so that one is Nova, who's played by Cassandra Scarabeau, and his friend who got attacked is Boz Hogan, by Jason Simmons, who, if I remember correctly, it's worth noting because we were talking about Hasselhoff not long ago. I'm pretty sure this dude was also star of Baywatch.
Probably.
I think he was. Yep, he was on Baywatch for 48 episodes.
Now,
okay.
These sharks were slightly more aggressive than your average variety shark.
Yeah, slightly.
I also find it interesting. I don't know if you notice in one of the scenes early on that when the shark jumps up on the ship, it just eats the guy whole like a snake.
Yeah.
Unhinging its jaw and until it was all in there.
I thought that was awesome.
Okay, there is also another Cheers connection here. One of the cast members is named Diane Chambers.
Okay.
That's kind of hilarious. I mean, the actual actress, not the character, but
okay.
So they found Diane and got her to be in the movie.
And that eating whole thing seems to happen throughout the film too.
Yeah.
There's a guy who's riding the surf who gets eaten on his way to the beach. Nova eventually jumps straight into a shark. Finn, well, he just gets eaten whole. There are quite a few people who seem it's almost like they're going full on Anaconda here.
Well, I guess in fairness to the sharks overall, the one that swallows Finn whole happens to be the same one that swallowed Nova. So maybe it's not all the sharks, but it's like, what are the odds?
Right.
What are the odds?
That's one you kind of got to be like, oh, come on, really? Same fucking shark that she got jumped into.
Right.
They just got to tie everything up in a little bow.
But yeah, that was kind of when that part happened. It was just kind of like, what? Okay.
And I wonder if Nova's name was kind of a reference to Planet of the Apes. The name of the female in there, the one that couldn't talk, her name was Nova in the original Planet of the Apes. So
could be.
But in any case, she had an interesting backstory that they gave her, and ultimately, she ended up having gotten with which we'll get there. But apparently, Finn has an ex-wife who who is in a very controlling relationship. And not only does he have a son, he also has a daughter. Which the daughter he's totally thinking about his daughter during this whole epidemic. As the hurricane comes through, he, of course, his ex-wife just so happens to be Tara Reid's character, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with him, and he tries to get his daughter, or tries to convince her to let him have her so that he can get her to safety.
The guy she's with is a total dick.
Yeah.
He's a tool.
He's an Ivy League asshole. That's what he is.
He is absolutely a tool. And did anyone else think that was one ugly house?
That was an ugly house, even if it was in the Hamptons.
The Hamptons. Wow, they traveled really far.
Well,
if the flooding is that bad, then there's nowhere safe to go at that point.
Well, it was in Hollywood,
yeah,
somewhere, and
didn't they say it was in Bel Air? I think they said it was in Bel Air.
I was assuming that it was in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, it's in that vicinity.
Well, in any case, the Sharks came into the bar
Mm-hmm.
and basically made them run. And
Yeah.
of course, Finn wasn't going anywhere until he went and got his daughter. As soon as he arrives at their place, everyone there is
well, first, before we skip that far ahead, when they leave the bar, you've got Finn, Nova, Boz, and George goes along with them with his bar stool. And at one point, he actually helps a woman save her dog by using his trusty bar stool. And unfortunately, I think that was his last act before he gets killed. But
yeah. Because there were a bunch of people saying, "Oh, what's a little bit of rain?"
Yeah.
And at first they were going to go keep going onwards, and but Finn was like, "I should probably go and help them."
Yeah.
So he gets out of the car, and everybody follows, and it's like that moment in Jurassic Park where everybody gets out the car to go see that Triceratops, you know. So, but you have you have them trying to go. I'll get back into the vehicle. They see George die, and they're like, "Ah."
He got out of the car to help somebody.
Yeah.
And he took his trusty bar stool with him when he did, which did come in handy. I just find it hilarious that when he left the bar, he made sure that he took that bar stool with him.
Right. Yeah.
That was his special bar stool.
Yeah. And actually, when it turned out he lived in Bel Air and he drove all the way out to the beach, they were like, "Why do you drive all the way out here for the bar?" And he's like, "Well, I like the sights and I like the beach, and my stool is here."
Well, he also said that there was also some scantily clad females.
Yeah, he likes the sights. But yeah, which I can't fault him for that logic, I have to admit. You know, it's a good combination.
There's nothing wrong with a little bit of bird watching.
Sure, yeah. But
in any case.
And apparently, when Finn stops to help these people, this is not his first time. In fact, he has a couple times in the movie where you doubt his personal survival.
Well, yeah, he goes straight on MacGyver in here.
Right. But
I mean, that moment where he helps all those kids in the bus.
Yeah, and when he stops, his ex-wife looks at him, it's like, you always do this. You're always putting other people ahead of your family. And it's like, you are one self-centered bitch.
And I also know why he left her too. Yes.
Did anyone else not
I
to
really wasn't
not to
feeling
necessarily mention any names? Did anyone else feel the bus driver looked familiar?
The bus driver did look a little familiar. I just don't know where from.
I feel like there's a friend of the channel that he reminded me of.
But his death was so great.
Yeah.
He was like, my mother always said that Hollywood would kill me. Boom, dead.
That was a little on the nose, but yeah. On the nose and everything else.
But yeah, we do have that the moment where the sharks were jumping high enough to try to climb the rope course. He got all the children up and the dude, and of course there was some flying debris.
Mm-hmm.
And you think that all the debris is gone, but then suddenly, splat. And I guess shortly after that, you don't see the children anymore, but they get back on the road, and
so
I guess. Go ahead.
Was anyone else left with the impression that they got all those children into one ambulance? That was the impression I got. I'm like, that'd be one crowded.
Yeah, that would, because that was a whole school full of giggling children, you know.
I guess when I got to that scene, I thought that the other ambulance, that there had been other ones and they had already left by the time it went to that scene, you know.
Maybe, but I guess their next intent was to go and pick up Matt, which is his other kid, and you know, this is the moment where Nova's like, "You have a son, you have a daughter. Why didn't I know all this?"
He just hasn't been paying attention.
She just wasn't.
She was more gaga about him, you know. So at least that's the way they make her character appear. And of course, when they get to the flight school, which is supposedly like somewhere nearby that observing old folks' home.
Okay, I thought, wow, I'm looking at this now. I thought that the ages seemed to not quite match up, but I did not realize. Okay, so Aubrey Shea, who plays Claudia, the daughter, is 18 years younger than Tara Reid, so that tracks. But the kid that plays Matt, the brother,
that kid,
yeah. So this woman that Tara Reid played, I guess would have had to be 8 when she had him.
Yeah, no wonder the marriage went on the rocks.
Right. And then Ian Ziering is apparently about 11 years older than Tara Reid. So even with him, yeah, it tracks more for him. But watching the movie, though, you don't quite realize how much older he is than either of the kids. But again, I'm like, that kid, Matt, he's too old. When they mention the other sibling, I'm like, oh, this kid must be younger. And then we meet him, we're like, the hell?
Right? He's a grown-ass dude. I mean,
Yeah, he's in flight school. Like he's
He's-
literally learning to be a pilot. It's like,
except he acts more like he was like years in the Marine and knows how to make bombs and shit like that, you know?
now it does make more sense about him being all hot on Nova, though.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I don't know, when was she born? Having trouble finding it. Well, anyway.
Well, Nova is definitely a lot younger than Ian.
Yeah.
Or
They-
at least his character.
IMDb doesn't give a birth year for her, though. It says born March 30, and that's it. There's no year. It's weird. Interesting.
Oh, well.
But yeah, and that was one of several things where I had to slightly suspend my disbelief. Honestly, at this point, I just still found
This
it's
is
like
where you begin to question.
What's up?
This is where you begin to question, how much do you really want me to believe?
Yeah, I didn't question anything up until then.
The sense of disbelief is definitely there. Actually, though, it reminds me of something I read in Wizard magazine many moons ago.
Okay.
Where somebody wrote in the letter thing, and their letter section was filled with a lot of what do they call it? A lot of snark.
Yeah.
So a guy writes in and he says, I'm having a real hard time suspending my disbelief. I said, I'm having a hard time buying the reality of Spider-Man.
Okay.
I mean, how come when he shoots his web shooters, it doesn't stick to his gloves and cause his gloves to fall out? This is taking me totally out of the series. And their response to that is, so we're talking about a guy who got spider powers from radioactive spider, has an aunt who has like 10 heart attacks a day, and he has routinely lifted cars, run into all these things. But of course, it's the gloves that take you out of it.
Obviously. Well, in watching this last night, again, I watched it with some family members, and we did a little bit of snarky comments as we went. I mean, a movie like this, that's part of the enjoyment, I think. But some comments were thrown out that were perfectly valid. Like one, that early sequence where Ian's trying to be a hero and where George meets it after saving that woman's dog or whatever. They go back to the car that they left with the doors open and theoretically the key probably still in the ignition. All these people are fleeing for their lives on foot, and no one grabbed their car and drove away in it. And we were like, okay.
Polite society.
And then there was the scene later at the old folks' home where the sharks fall into the pool and they slowly get the few people in the pool out just in time. And then, Finn like dumps gasoline that happened to be nearby, by the way. So dumps gasoline in the pool and throws a match on it. And we're like, well, why don't you just tell people not to go in the pool? The sharks would have died anyway from the chlorine. All you have to do is wait a few days, if that. So I mean, the movie is absolutely littered with stupid ass bullshit, but it's, again, that's part of its charm. It's like, but yeah. I didn't even look at IMDb's Goofs page. I'll bet it's really long.
Well, so they get to the flight school and nobody seems to be around, but then Nova hears a noise and finds out that most of the people that were apparently there were hiding behind a piece of metal, and They had no clue that it was sharks. They just assumed it was just the hurricane. And most of the people that they run into, well, even the gas station or the liquor store dude or the convenience plus dude, he was a little strange. That they ran into, where he thought it was like aliens in the government.
It may have been. I mean, those sharks definitely acted weird.
But I love how the government is always at fault for anything and everything. But when they were talking about the sharks to them, they're like, "What?" And then the one girl went to the middle, and I don't think they showed her death, but I think that the one lady in charge ended up dying like before they got back into behind that piece of metal.
You talking about the lady that gets sucked right out the window by the one time that the glass breaks in the whole friggin' movie?
Yeah.
It's like you have to see at the old folks' home where they're all crowded up to the window, and I'm like, this is not the kind of weather where you do that. Yeah.
Well,
and I was watching the behind the scenes making featurette on the DVD just a little bit, and the way that they did everything was well, most of the time there was not a real shark nearby, so the director or whoever was yelling shark, and they had to react to it, So,
well, you could say that this film actually is an environmentally friendly film, because you start off by punishing the people who are hunting shark fins.
Yeah.
And then you realize that the Sharknado was actually because of global warming.
Yeah, but then you also have that stupid thing of people, the whole man versus nature thing. I think that's another reason why the movie doesn't strike me as much as it might, because I'm not a big fan of casting nature as a villain. But the whole thing of literally blowing up tornadoes is stupid on so many levels. It's funny, but it's stupid on so many levels.
It needs to have that song from what was it? Team America, World Police, America. But you see, in a way, I could see it. There are several types of man versus nature concepts.
Yeah.
One of which is just basically straight on man versus nature. But then there are others where it actually talks about, you wouldn't have to fight the nature if you didn't fuck it up yourself.
Right.
And this one kind of landed closer to that.
The movie does have elements of that, and I'll give it points for that.
Because a lot of the issues that happen to the people are caused by the people themselves.
Yeah.
Even throughout the movie, most of the people who die because of pure stupidity.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
there were
at least I can say that. I understand what you're talking about, but at the same time, I can see this as far as this is a very different one than your average,
right.
one of those.
Right.
I mean, shoot,
but
Day After Tomorrow was another one that was pretty good about that too, because it also was a where environment got out of control.
Which one?
That was Day After Tomorrow.
I still haven't seen that.
And that one was another one that was talking about, we've kind of screwed things up so badly that, we're all dead.
That was a Roland Emmerich film, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, most Roland Emmerich films are, something screwed up. We're all dead.
I was going to say, Roland Emmerich has made a career out of destroying the planet in his movies, but usually there's some sort, you're right, there's usually some sort of reasoning behind it. But he just likes blowing shit up, like even more than Michael Bay, I almost think.
I like 2012 the best. What's the reason? Mayans.
Well, and I remember there being just as much crap about the end of the world as there was about Y2K in the 2012 thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember 2012. At the end of 2012, around New Year's, I remember trying to get together with everybody to do a end of the world party. I don't remember anything more than I think we watched 2000. I don't remember. Was 2012? It was out there by then.
Yeah.
I know we watched a bunch of end of the world movies and stuff.
I wonder. This came out in 2013. I wonder if part of the inspiration for this was all of that.
It could have been. That scene, actually, with all the tornadoes coming, did remind me of Day After Tomorrow. Well, they have the tornado scene. Also in Los Angeles.
Although I'm willing to wager that a Roland Emmerich film had much, much, much better CG.
And if you really think about it, it did predict the future because of the environmental damage.
Yeah.
We had a large hurricane strike California not long ago.
We did.
We didn't have Sharknadoes. Well,
no.
Wait, maybe we did, and the government covered it up.
Yeah, could be.
It's a possibility if you want to suspend your belief that the government is capable of covering up a disaster of that magnitude.
Oh yeah, no, there was actually the one character in here that was going on about the government controlling the weather, and I'm like, oh my God, this has happened recently.
If the government controlled the weather,
not that. But I have heard this exact speech from a member of Congress.
I was going to say, a member of Congress actually said
this exact speech.
Was blaming the president for having a hurricane machine.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But yeah.
Gotta make you wonder where's the current administration with that hurricane machine?
Yeah, right.
Well, they talked about blowing storms up. Didn't they ask about the
this current president talked about dropping atomic bombs on hurricanes to destroy them. So hey, that's
maybe he's seen Sharknado and was like, hey, we could use that. We could run with it.
Inspired current policy.
It wouldn't surprise me, honestly. It wouldn't surprise me.
Actually, there is a rather large conservative staffing of these movies as you go on. I want to say Laura Ingram's in several of them.
Really?
I can't remember too far down the line, but I know that there have been some conservative pundits.
She probably would be more believable as a newscaster than the one in this one, though.
Yeah.
Oh man, that one was. She's reading stuff off, like reading copy, and I'm like, you would not have a job on the news reading like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I really couldn't get behind the daughter in this one entire.
She was a bit of a bitch, but you got to understand with her mother being the way she is, it's not surprising.
Yeah. But in any case, so we have Nova meeting Matt. And Matt is definitely checking out Nova.
Well,
yeah,
I'm not going to blame him.
No, I'm not either. Definitely not. But I remember the daughter actually telling Nova off about her dad or something like that. Like off. You will never have a chance with mama with my mom around, or some shit like that.
They kind of feel, most of the family, at least as far as the daughter is concerned and the mother is concerned, they feel like they were neglected or abandoned by the dad.
Right.
So I'm sure that terrible boyfriend didn't help those matters. The son
No.
didn't look like he cared as much, but he was probably a full-on adult when when they separated. I mean, of course, since she had him when she was 8,
Right.
he already witnessed all the crimes that his father committed.
So, needless to say, she did not have the hang-ups that she did in American Pie about saving herself.
No, evidently not. I mean, way before high school years. I mean, somebody had to touch that American Pie sooner or later. But in any case, let's get back to the storyline. Where okay, so yeah, there are sharks that show up and show that it's not just hurricanes. A few people get killed, and then the sun shows them that there's this supply place like right across the way that they can get all the stuff that they need, and then of course Nova. She shoots a hole to open up the locked door, and they all go inside, and that's where well, his friend gets a couple of bombs, and Matt's the one that comes up with the bomb, thing where he wants to take the helicopter out and throw some bombs at it, and
As you do.
because that's just Senpai, whatever Senpai Fi.
I think it's Semper Parata. Was what they
Senpai Parada.
Semper Parata. It's like always prepared, I guess is what they're trying to say.
Sounds like a military term.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a military.
So
I know. Is it the? Oh, geez. I'm going to sound really awful if I try to guess which one it is.
Well, I'm sure it's similar to Hoorah.
Well, yeah.
As somebody who's never been in the military, I'm not even going to try.
Semper Paratus. It's the Coast Guard. That's what it is. Yeah.
Well, that is appropriate for this film.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently, the just random thing to throw out. Apparently, the bus driver, I think he wrote some of the songs on the soundtrack, and his band is Quint, which is a Jaws reference right there.
Okay. So that's understandable.
Yeah.
I swear the filmmakers were not.
What's
I swear
up?
the filmmakers were not prepared for the success that this film
No.
had. I mean, they made more money than probably sci-fi as a whole made probably in a year.
Well, yeah.
But everyone's
I don't
always
think even sci-fi realized how much this would kick off.
everyone's always going on about what high level of quality the channel's known for.
Well, I mean, they actually. That's the thing. People don't realize that Sci-Fi Channel wasn't always cheesy stuff. At one time, it was legitimately trying to be, before they changed it to SYFY, it was actually Sci-Fi, like SCI-FI.
Right.
Well, yeah.
And even stopped abbreviating it at first, calling it Science Fiction Channel, where they would actually show high-quality science fiction and old-school science fiction shows and movies. And
I
also,
used to watch sci-fi a lot, especially when it was before it turned to the SYFY, whatever.
Well, and we've seen our fair share of bad actors in a bad movie, and some of the movies that they put out on it just did not work. But there were also ones that they would put out with like some very fucking good like independent actors. And yet the CGI sucked like shit,
my favorite things out of the Sci-Fi Channel would always be their anime block that they used to do back in the 90s, and their show Who Wants to Be a Superhero with Stan Lee. which they then made an original sci-fi movie that had one of the heroes starring in it.
See, I saw Lily Cat on the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day, so that's how I got into that particular one.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. All right, well, and by the way, the scene that we're seeing up here, I think, is from one of the sequels, but I really wanted to catch the scene where he takes the chainsaw and he cuts the shark straight in half.
Yeah.
Coming at him, and they didn't. I couldn't find that, so this is the closest I could get.
So the what was I going to say? Speaking of chainsaws, did you agree with my query that apparently Mistletoe shows up in this one? It definitely was a pink chainsaw. It was kind of intriguing.
Actually, though, as far as the story is concerned, as they're trying to go bomb it, of course, they get sucked out of the helicopter, and Nova actually gets swallowed whole by a shark.
Mm-hmm.
As you do, of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
because that's what happens.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that was mentioned, and I have to agree with, they were flying really close to those water spouts with shockingly little turbulence.
Special military technology in the helicopter.
Oh, obviously. Or maybe he's just that good of a pilot. I don't.
Yeah, I always thought to myself that a shark might choke if it ate a whole person like that.
Yeah.
You would think that. You would
it's
think
like
that.
Song. What?
You would think that a shark would have a possible way of digesting instead of just gulping a person whole.
Well, they would, but digestion is not instantaneous.
If you went by Star Wars standards, that pit that they threw the Star Wars into the whatever. Digested someone for 1,000 years, I would assume that it would be similar to at least a lengthy digesting process.
If you're thinking 1,000 years, though, she was in that shark for 20 minutes. There would not be any digestion going on.
Though it might seem like 1,000 years to be in a shark.
Probably would.
But I'm using the science behind this film in the creation of my short film Therapy Shark. Obviously, because this is so... I know that they must have had a marine biologist on staff because the shark physics and science was so spot on. Oh, and a meteorologist as well, because they knew exactly how weather works.
Yeah. Although, I was just looking at user comments on here, and it brings up a question in my mind. I didn't count it. I'm going to have to count it in the other movies. I'm going to have to try to keep track of how many times in the movie someone literally jumps the shark. Because I think that did happen a few times in this one.
Yeah. And I just loved how, random hammerhead sharks just tended to do some head splodges.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of everything, I mean, after they bombed the Sharknado, the sharks from the NATOs would fly and give Finn and his company a fair share of sharks to kill.
Mm-hmm.
As they do.
We should also make mention. We talked about the helicopter. They had rented this pretty beast-looking Hummer with spikes on the front.
Boz.
Yeah, and Boz loaded it up with bombs, and they end up taking out the biggest water spout with Finn basically drove it right into it. jumping out, of course, ahead of time. But yeah, that there was some definite firepower in that thing. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, they're not getting their deposit back.
Well, that Hummer also came in handy for when the cops decided to give chase to them too.
Right. Yeah. And actually, my brother had made a comment talking about Finn. He's like, discount Paul Walker. And then when they started that chase scene, I was like, well, now he is.
Definitely discount
Yeah.
They only get crazier from here. I do find it interesting that the shark does end up swallowing our hero, but he manages to cut his way out with the chainsaw because there's obviously a ton of room inside that shark. Obviously. And it also happens to be the shark that swallowed Nova.
And he must have gotten a better chain. And he must have gotten a better chainsaw in some of these other films afterwards, because this one they made it seem like it was a struggle for him to actually cut through the shark. You know?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, he cuts that one shark in half like it's butter with that chainsaw.
But that happens in a different movie, doesn't it?
Well, he cut one in half in this movie.
No,
true.
I mean, the scene above doesn't happen in this movie, but there is a scene like it in this movie. And yes, he does cut a shark in half with a chainsaw as it's heading towards him.
But they make him struggle to get out of here, out of this one, as if it was like the leather of the thing, you know.
Well, you try to. Okay, go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to say, apparently the chainsaw wasn't particularly made for CG.
Right. But in any case, he sliced himself out, and then of course he went back in for Nova. Of course, he's not the one who mouth to mouth resuscitated her. It's Matt that does.
Well, much like the Ichijo Festival, the shark is much bigger on the inside than on the outside.
Yeah.
Oh, just like the maze from Dave made a maze was much bigger on the inside than it was on the outside.
Yeah.
It's much bigger on the inside. That's still one of my favorite films from the year it came out. I don't. I mean, Dave, when you made that maze, you did a good job with it.
Right.
Even a Minotaur.
You know, it makes you wonder. Now that you think about it, it makes you wonder if Clark Griswold had a similar design capability, you know, and with that tree, you know, it's not going in the yard, Russ. It's going in the living room. Yeah.
Yeah, that tree was definitely bigger than it looked to him.
Well, and of course, this is where we're nearing the end here, where of course, you see all the killed sharks, and I think it kind of zooms out, and you see the destruction that this Sharknado has brought. You know,
all the dead sharks. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess we're at the point in time where we're going to talk about production. What did y'all think about production overall?
Yeah. It was a sci-fi film, all right.
It was that. I mean, the CG is awful. There are no two ways about it. The CG is awful. But overall, otherwise, I think they could have done a lot worse.
It was watchable, and that's something for some sci-fi films, because
Right.
some sci-fi original features are not watchable. So yes.
Well, yeah, there are many shark movies that sci-fi has made where you can definitely tell the shark is more like a hologram than it is a shark. It's a see-through shark. It's not even a ghost shark. It's just.
I remember bad CGI sharks from that time. We did that one on this channel.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Actually, of course, and I've watched billions of shark movies directed by Mark Polonia.
Yeah.
Billions. Dang, he's more prolific than I thought.
I mean, the man does two types of films: shark movies and Bigfoot movies, and then
And
occasionally
Mummy.
something in between.
I think he's done Ouija shark, Ouija mummy.
That's why I said. I mean, he did a Camp Blood shark crossover. He did an Amityville shark crossover.
he's the one that did Sharkula, right?
Yes, and Cocaine Shark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the shark movie with Amityville was Amityville Island, and like I said before, after on my review of what was it, Camp Blood Clown Shark or something like that, where I was thinking to myself, all we need now is Camp Blood Bigfoot, Amityville Camp Blood, and we will have hit the trifecta. But yes, sharks. So I've seen a lot of bad shark films, and if I compare it to those, this actually
Puppet
looks
Shark?
really good.
What about Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus?
Well, there was barely a shark in that.
Right.
But it did have a shark take out an airplane, and that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I will say that though there is a highlight from Camp Blood Clown Shark, is when you have a river trout that gets possessed by a killer clown mask. That itself does make for some fun stuff. Killer river trout.
It should have been Killer River Trout. Instead, it was Camp Blood Shark.
Matter of fact, I think they shouldn't have had the trout transform into a shark. I think they should have just left it as a trout. Give the trout a machete, and then just have it go to town.
Didn't they have killer trouts in Leonard Part 6?
They did. It was reading a Playboy.
Yeah.
I seem to remember a movie called Commando Shark something, and that
was post-apocalyptic Commando Shark.
Yes, that was funny.
So there are much worse movies than this one about sharks. But which I think was the establishing idea, is that yes, this one is pretty bad, but it's bad. Let's see here. What is the word?
There's a level of badness.
It's bad
in a good way.
Yes.
So
like it's not skeleton key badness.
Oh.
You can follow what this movie is trying to do.
Yeah.
You cannot
follow what this movie is trying to do. See, me, on the other hand, I actually think these are some pretty darn good CGI sharks. I've seen shit-looking sharks. These are top of the line CGI sharks.
Actually, my favorite way of doing sharks is you show some B-roll of a shark that somebody took in a nature documentary. Then you show the roll of the person being eaten by the shark. And then you show the shark B-roll. And then you show the person eaten. You never show the shark and the person in the same on the same screen.
How about this? You just see the fin, and then you see the teeth open up, and then you see people's body parts coming out of a wood chipper. That's the shark. So,
yeah. Speaking of people's body parts coming apart and whatnot, I believe it was the boyfriend, right? Tara Reid's boyfriend, that they go to try to rescue him, and apparently it was like the one time a shark actually bit down on someone because they end up like pulling his legs right out.
Well, yeah, he was a lost cause before they even tried to start pulling his legs
he
out.
was a lost cause anyway, but yeah, I was amused by that because he was a tool. But
yeah, I didn't.
Wasn't there a Arrogant Worms song about sharks?
Probably
Something the theme park shark, but I can't remember the name of it.
Oh yeah, there was Rippy the Gator, and there was one that was similar about the theme park shark, but I can't remember the. Was it Billy? No, that doesn't sound right.
That's right, Billy.
Oh, it was.
Tammy, what did you think
the
about
theme park shark?
What did you think about the production overall? We haven't heard from you in a bit.
Well, yeah, it was definitely a lot of CGI in it, you know. I guess, like you guys were saying, it was definitely watchable, you know. But yeah, how do I put it? There just was so much of it, but yeah, you could have made this movie without all of it, basically, you know, because there's, you know,
Well, yeah,
there's gonna be, you know, in reality, like sharks would be flying around in a tornado or in a hurricane, or be swimming down your down your street, you know.
Yeah, there'd be no B-roll for that.
But,
yeah, I'm not quite sure that this type of thing could happen.
Yeah, I guess it just the CGI made it fun. I guess is the way I think about it, you know. So.
Yep. Alrighty, well, let's go into music. Well, there was a Sharknado song. Did anyone hear the Sharknado song?
I did, and I promptly forgot it.
Same here.
Go, Sharknado! Dun, 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 dun. And like you said, Jake, it was by a band named Quint. Which I'm assuming is just what I would call a one-hit wonder.
Actually, Sharkulo is still the better song for sharks.
I actually thought I think that there was a movie for a song that they somebody redid for the movie Bait.
Oh god, that one. Mm-hmm.
Somebody did the what was it? The Bobby Darin song about Mac the Knife. Except made it a metal version instead, which I thought that was pretty darn cool.
A metal version of Mac the Knife. That sounds fun, actually.
It was actually pretty decent, to be honest. So, but other than that, this wasn't too bad. I mean, it was like a punk song. I didn't mind it. I I have not heard that that song that you just talked about. There was a song on Sharkula.
Well, yeah, Sharkula had a song. I even in my review, I even did a dance for it, and actually we did the Sharkula dance at the Versus Awards that year.
Wasn't
Okay.
it one of your nominees for the awards? Didn't it make the cut?
It did.
I still have yet to see it, to be honest.
Wow.
But in any case, so
You're actually more fortunate for not. Any case, yeah. All right.
Oh, what happened?
Well, are we done with music?
I don't really have much to say on the music for this, honestly. It was decent.
You still there, Dave? Huh? You have anything on music, Tammy?
No.
Huh? You back with us, Dave? Well, I guess we should. Yeah. Well, actually, while we're waiting on Dave to come back on, I want to make one point. In case your reality was totally destroyed, sharks do not act like this. Sharks are mostly harmless. They do not attack humans. They usually don't even want to eat humans.
Right.
So there is no reason to be fearing sharks, and they don't usually travel in the numbers that make up the Sharknadoes.
Or through the air.
I mean, gosh, the sheer number of sharks that would have had to have been swimming near the surface at the time.
Okay, sorry about that.
We're probably talking, if you look at the numbers, we're probably talking a good quarter of the shark population of the Pacific, maybe more.
They were all converging on one spot.
Right.
Okay, so yes, we are done with the music. So let us do favorite scenes and our favorite characters. So let's start with you, Brandon. Favorite scenes and our favorite characters.
Well, John Hurt's character, of course. I can't really dislike that. Anybody who likes their bar stool enough to carry it with them is a person I can admire. As far as favorite
scenes.
Gosh. I want to say my favorite scene is probably where he uses the chainsaw to chop the shark in half.
Okay. What about you, Jake? Favorite scene or scenes and or favorite character?
Favorite character. I'm going to have to go probably with George as well. Nova's probably a close second. Favorite scene. That's kind of a tough call. That's kind of a tough call. I'm not sure what my clear favorite would be. I mean, seeing the boyfriend get eaten was great because he was such a tool. And maybe I'm going to say most of the scenes with George did amuse me, so I think I'll go with that. The image of him running away, fleeing this building with the stool, and then when they load into the car and they're all getting ready to go, wait, where's George? Oh, he's already passed out in the back. I thought that was fun.
Okay, heading over to you, Tammy. Favorite character or characters and our favorite scene.
No. What was his sidekick's name?
Finn?
Finn's friend. Finn's friend. The
the other guy with the
Bossy dude?
Yeah.
Boz.
Boz, yeah, I like him. He just, I don't know, I liked his whole attitude and everything. I thought he was fun. I liked him. When they showed up, driving the Hummer and and then they hit the nitrous button and his whole face and everything and how he reacted. He was he just was like anything that could amp things up, it seemed like that was what he wanted to do, I liked him. Favorite scene, I guess one of my favorite scenes was the ending, when he went through the shark and then you see him cutting himself out, and then then of course he pulls Nova out too.
Yeah, so, that's suspension of belief right there. I think I'm gonna have to go with you there too, and that being my favorite scene as well. Did you have anything else though, Tammy?
No, I guess I mean, I liked a lot of the scenes, with when he had the chainsaw and he was, he had cut the shark in this, and he had done, a lot of the action scenes where I thought were actually pretty good. So.
Okay. So. And me, I'm going to have to go with Finn as my favorite character. Favorite scene, I just said. But there are a lot of the action scenes, like the stupid people getting killed. Even though it's stupid in the way and why they were killed, it's still enjoyable. I don't know why, but it's still enjoyable to see stupid people get killed. If you're going to be stupid, then there is no reason for you to exist, to me. Although people do stupid things all the time, so I do stupid things all the time, so I guess I shouldn't exist. But in any case, I do enjoy most of this franchise to a certain extent, so I'm glad that I was able to put this film forward and give it the discussion that it needed. And I'm glad that most of you have actually enjoyed the film as well, even though it's cheesy and B-ish, and of course bad computer graphics. Well, not. I mean, they could have been worse. You could have seen through the shark, or I've seen sharks worse than this.
What was it in Back to the Future Part 2? Shark still looked fake.
Yeah. So to me, that's like almost every shark movie that doesn't use a regular that actually uses CGI. the shark still looks big. But you know what? To me, in these movies, they just get better. But that's me. But I'm glad that we were able to discuss this. Hopefully, you ladies and gentlemen out there have at least seen the movie. Give it a watch. Once you do that, come back, listen to our discussion on the film, and let us know whether you liked the movie or not. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we'll have to go around the room and tell you a little bit about ourselves and what we do and who we are. So, Tammy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I go on this site and another one with David and talk about movies and get everybody's opinion and check out a lot of different types of movies. And it's always a lot of fun. And I have my own collection. And, the weather's starting to change, so it'll be pretty soon. I'll be bringing out my car.
Okay, heading over to you, Jake. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do?
Sorry. I am Kotobukijake. I am the sometime co-host of SeptumSin versus World. And this past week, we had a discussion on a show called The Quasar Stigmata that was, it was an interesting discussion. And I usually have way too much stuff on my plate, not enough time to do it. Got in addition to my full-time gig, I just this week started a plot at a local community garden. I'm going to be trying really hard this year to grow a lot more of my own food. And I've never done the community garden thing, so I'm really looking forward to that. I've already got a bunch of stuff in. And of course, after 3 straight days of 80+ degree temps, we had a cold day that's going to get cold. It's supposed to go down below 30 tomorrow night. That's Virginia for you. Anyway, if other than that, I've also got a novel I'm working on trying to finally get finished. I'm workshopping with some people. And I've got a really insane idea for a website that I'm wanting to work on, and I've started doing some of the preliminary stuff and for that. So I do still try to find time to watch stuff to join these folks each week for discussions. Like I said, this is one that I've been curious about for some time. I look forward to finally proceeding into the sequels of this particular movie series. I don't know if I'll be singing the same tune at the end of the month, but we shall see.
Alrighty. Heading over to you, Brandon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I'm SeptumSin of SeptumSin versus the World. We like our physical media. I do pickups and reviews and all the fun stuff. But, well, actually, this week I've got all the above. I have a very busy week set up. I have a pickup video that I thought was lost that Jake and I filmed. I actually found it and I threw it together, and that's coming up Wednesday. Thursday, I'm doing a review for the Great Emu War. And tomorrow, I am going to have one of the earlier reviews of the film Desert Fiends, which will be out also tomorrow. For those of you who really want to watch that. And just as an early point of view on Desert Fiends, for those of you who loved the worst features, well, it might be the best features to you. So for those of you who really liked the Wrong Turn series, and those of you who really like The Hills Have Eyes, it is a combination of the features of both, and maybe a little skeleton key in there just for fun.
You're just making it sound better with each movie.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not for you.
Yeah, I can tell.
But any case, yes, that one will be out tomorrow at 12:30 because the embargo on reviews for the film will be over at that point, and I will finally get out a review for it. So that's going to be fun. That's it.
Okay, and my name is David Striggy. I'm one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore. So thank you for coming along with us on this fantabulous journey that we've been having now that we are covering franchises. And I'm glad to be putting forward this franchise. Some are going to be this month, and then we're going to be following some of those NATO films later in the year. So keep track and keep an eye on us, because we are not entirely done yet with you guys on these Oscar-winning films. So, but or should I say what could have been Oscar nominees? Anyways, that being said, I know that Brandon and I are finishing up the tail end of Tales of the Forgotten 2. I do believe that we are finally onto a sequence where we can probably put together the credit sequences and go from there. And then hopefully have a rough cut of it maybe within the next couple of weeks. So in any case, that's exciting to finally be done with a project almost. It was a long project, wasn't it?
Oh, boy. Oh, I am going to be interviewed. I forgot about that. I'm going to be interviewed for a podcast, and I don't remember the name of the podcast, so I can't really advertise it too much. But apparently it's an Amityville podcast, and so I will be taking an interview about Amityville Webcam, which is a film I made. I'm not sure whether that was a good thing or not, but it was made. It's out there. Right. You can buy it if you want to on the link below. But you can buy and if you want to get Dave's first film taken down before the sequel, if you want to finish that film beforehand, you better do it fast. So you can order this, and you'll have it, and you'll be able to watch it before we get to the sequel.
All right.
Alrighty. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you have a great evening or morning wherever you are, and we'll see you next week.
So long.
Good night, all.
So
Good
long.
night.
Good night.
Inside Movies Galore just makes you just want more. We've had all in the world of media to explore. Horror, anime, or Curious George. Our love of new things was our reward. It is the best night of our week.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.